Hello everybody, Let's Here for Life. You're bringing us a brand new deck profile, and today I have my Ritual Beast deck that I have been working on. I love Ritual Beast. This was the deck that I played back in the Secret Forces era, which was not pleasant because of Necros, but this deck made it somewhat bearable because of how fun it is to play and how it works and everything. And that is also holding true for, well, the new Tier 0 format with Snake Guy. Granted, that's been mainly Melodious carrying me, and now I'm going to be, I don't know how much, I'm going to flip-flop between Melodious and Ritual Beast, honestly. I love both decks so much, so it's really just down to whatever my mood is. I did play this deck on last Saturday, and technically went undefeated with it. Also kind of technically didn't because I got there late and got a round 1 loss. But I did play against nothing but meta, including a Snake Eyes, and I beat all of them. In fact, I played specifically against a Flunderies, a Branded, Snake Eyes, and a Horus deck. And it went really well, obviously. I mean, I didn't lose to any of them, but, oh god, trying to play under Puppet Lock is not fun. Anyways, this deck, I love it to death. This is just straight up Ritual Beast. I'm not doing anything super fancy with it. I noticed there was 2 other Ritual Beast players at my locals at the time, and they were doing the stuff with like the Nemesis monsters and all that. I don't have those. I'm not doing that, and I don't really want to shell out 40 bucks for Nemesis Protos. So anyways, let's go ahead and get on with this and talk about it. Again, this is my just pure straight up Ritual Beast. So first and foremost, we got 3 Lara. Funnily enough, on Saturday, I only had 2, and I still did well. My 3rd one came in like an hour after I got home, so that was funny. Lara is one of the best cards to be printed for this archetype, period. Spiritual Beast Tamer Lara. She's both a Spiritual Beast a Tamer and a Ritual Beast monster, so she fulfills both summoning conditions for any of the fusions. You can discard her, get an immediate normal summon. If she's banished, you get to special summon one from deck, and if she's in your graveyard and one of your dudes would die, you can banish her instead. She also protects your spells and traps, which is really handy for protecting inheritance. This card is flat out busted, and there's a reason she's 20 bucks, and I kind of want to invest the money on the Quarter Centuries. Also, good lord, like, puberty hit her like a truck. Compare her to your kid Lara. Next up, let's take a look at Ritual Beast Tamer Elder. Elder, speaking of, like, old times catching up on you, this is, what was it, Kamui from Gusto? God. Age has not been kind to him. Anyways, he is still a good card, though. On normal summon, you get to get another normal summon. Pretty good. Not much else than that. And you might be wondering, okay, well, what's with all the normal summon stuff? Each one of the Ritual Beast monsters, if you don't know, which if you don't know, why are you watching a video? I'm joking. Anyways, each Ritual Beast monster in the main deck and one in the extra deck can only be special summoned 1 time each turn. So you special summon an Elder, you can't special summon another Elder again. This is to prevent infinite loops and actually put a cap on how many times you can just keep reusing the fusions effects. Anyway, so yeah, he gets you another normal summon. Moving on, we got 3 Spiritual Beast. Canahawk. Canahawk is one of the best ones from the original series, at least, especially with the beasts. Once a turn while he's on the field, you can banish any Ritual Beast card from your deck during your 2nd standby phase. After doing this, you add it to your hand. This is literally, I think, like almost verbatim the card text on Gold Sarcophagus. This thing is really, really good for that. And yeah, it's Canahawk. Now, you don't ever actually like leave the card banished for that long. It just doesn't come up, so it's like, okay. Anyways, moving on to our one-ofs now. Now, there's a lot of one-ofs. I'm going to say that because I have a lot of stuff for engine and all that. So, looking at our first one-of, we have Spiritual Beast Apelio. This guy has a quick effect where you can banish a Ritual Beast card from your graveyard, and then all Ritual Beast monsters you control for the remainder of the turn get 500 attack and defense. That even applies to Ritual Beasts you summon after the fact, so you can do it and then make one of your big guys, and then they get buffed. It's also, just like Cannahawk, not a hard once per turn, so if you do get him on the field again, you can do it again, and then everything gets 1,000 attack and defense. It's like, okay, cool. Really good card all around for that. It just helps beat over stuff, which is especially important because this deck, the monsters are very low on attack points overall, with only one of them clearing 3k. And yeah, and also their main attacker is unaffected by card effects whenever it's attacking, so that also includes your Apelio effect buff, which is hilarious because it's ulti Apelio that does that, so you don't even get the I don't know, I don't understand Konami. It's like logic. Moving on, Spiritual Beast Rampengu. Rampengu and his fabulous haircut here is another really good card. He is amazing under D-Shifter. Oh my god. So his effect, you banish one of your Ritual Beast monsters from your extra deck, and then you send another monster with the corresponding type from your deck to your graveyard. If you have D-Shifter out, or Macro, or Dimensional Fissure, or whatever, that's an instant 2 and you're banished, and that is just amazing for what this deck does. That helps set up all sorts of plays with ulti Cannahawk and everything. You can play 2. I was playing 2 until I got the Lara and cut them down to 1 for the third Lara. But it's not super needed. Again, though, he's really, really, really good under D-Shifter. Moving on, Spiritual Beast Petalfin. Petalfin is a card that a lot of people cut, and I've been looking up deck profiles and stuff. I don't understand it. Okay, I'm gonna be 100% honest. A lot of my wins was because of Petalfin. Petalfin's effect: once a turn, you can banish any Ritual Beast card from your hand to bounce one face-up card your opponent controls. So that's not a hard once per turn, just like the others. So theoretically, for 2 cards, you can get rid of 2 cards, but the big thing with it is that this gets rid of problem cards that are bugging you. I used it to get rid of a Zeus that only had 1 mat and I couldn't beat over. I used it to get rid of a oh hell, what is it? Oh yeah, I bounced the boss monster for Laundries. I can't remember his name. The penguin. M-Pen. That's it. Yeah, I bounced M-Pen with it because I'm not joking. This deck has a really hard time dealing with M-Pen. Unironically, it's annoying because M-Pen, you have to run it over or pop it with steeds or use Petalfin because you can't just run it over in battle. And poor Apelio is too weak, so you have to rely on having Inheritance out, and that's not always a given. Anyways, this card helps out problems. I think it's a solid one of. I get why people don't play it, but I just don't agree. Next, we got the other Spiritual Beast Tamer, and that's Spiritual Beast Tamer Wenda. She, like Spiritual Beast Tamer Lara, counts for both being a Ritual Beast monster and a Ritual Beast Tamer, so she can fulfill either summoning condition. And her actual effect does come up every now and then, and actually saved me a few times and helped me win a few games, because people are like, yeah, that's irrelevant. Oh, you summoned a 3200 beat stick, what? So when she's destroyed by battle or card effect, you can special summon any Ritual Beast monster from your deck or extra deck, ignoring summoning conditions. So most of the time, what you usually do is you just summon the big boss, which is Ulti Guy Apelio with 3200 attack. This is useful for getting over big problems, and he's just a big wall. But it's not always what you want to go for. Sometimes you go for something else so you can do tag out shenanigans and all that. Overall, though, she's just really good for that and what she does. Not super relevant, but does come up. Next, you have Ritual Beast Tamer Wen. When on normal summons, you target any one of your banished Ritual Beast monsters and special summon it. It's kind of like Tamer, Elder, but it's a special summon, so that makes it very clunky. I have one Ritual Beast Tamer, Zephyr Empilica. This is on normal summon, you target a Zephyr or a Ritual Beast monster in your graveyard, special summon it. It's just another name, honestly. I was for a time playing the Zephyr Wen, but there's no real point to it now because there's just better names. But anyways, moving on, we got the original Lara, Kid Lara, and she does the same thing as Pilica. I'm not even joking. She just, on normal summon, target a Ritual Beast in your graveyard, special summon it. Both of these do functionally the same thing in this deck. The big difference is they have different names, and because you can only special summon each one once a turn, that is very important. So, that is my Ritual Beast lineup. Overall, I'm really happy with this lineup. It's been working really well for me. And yeah, that's it. Moving on to the hand traps. We got 3 Ash, you know, I don't need to explain these. We're in a 15 plus card hand trap format. 3 Veiler. Yeah, it's not good under Shifter, but you're not always going to see Shifter, and you need to be able to stop your opponent's Snake Eye plays from going off. Speaking of Shifter, we do play 3 of her. I've been told that Shifter's a girl. Like, honestly, looking at it, I kind of see it, but I don't know. Anyways, just rolling with it. So yeah, 3 Shifter. And then I only play 2 Ghost Mourner in the main. I don't side the 3rd. I really kind of want to fit in the 3rd, but at the same time I don't. It's clunky having too many hand traps. This deck is not a 1-card combo archetype. Not like a lot of modern archetypes are. Yeah, it kind of can. Like if your normal summon Canahawk uses Effect to Banish, and then like your opponent has to Veiler or Impermanent. But like this deck is not a 1-card combo deck. It is not at all, so I don't recommend having too much non-engine, otherwise you're going to have too much clunk, and too much clunk leads to unplayable hands. Thankfully though, that didn't happen. There were a few close calls where I'm like, oh thank god I got a card. Anyways, moving on, we got triple Itali. All of the good ones are level 3 or lower. The only tamer that you can't summon is Winda, but oh well, you can summon the others off of Itali. I actually used this one time. I had it in my hand a few times, but I had full combo anyway, so it was like I don't need Itali, so it just ended up getting pitched or something. But it does come up, like really, honestly, especially like if you're playing against more Snake Eyes, like they're gonna have so many hand traps to throw at you. You need to have extension. Next, speaking of extension, I got a card that I know is going to be controversial, and that is 3 Ritual Beast Inheritance. I don't understand the logic of not playing this card at 3 or even at 2. Okay, I've seen some people who only play 1, and I've seen some people who play 0, and I do not understand that one bit. Okay, so I don't know, maybe someone can explain that to me, because I've had people tell me outright to my face this is a bad card, and then I beat them. So partly because of this card, and I don't see it. So what does this card do? Well, while it's on the field, all monsters your opponent controls lose 200 attack and defense, I think too, or no, just attack for each different type among ritual beasts you control. So if you have a Pyro, Psychic, and Thunder out, they're losing 600 attack. That's really good. Second, once per turn you can reveal a Ritual Beast monster in your hand, add a Ritual Beast monster from your deck to your hand with a different type, and then discard a card. This is really good, especially if you're under Shifter, because it just gets you something in your graveyard, in your banished. But even more importantly, it's a Rhoda for this deck, and it's only it's a hard once per turn. That is it. This is a card that sits on your field, debuffs your opponent's dudes, and then gets you a search every turn. I don't understand why a Rhoda for an archetype is not good. I don't get that. Anyways, finally, it has a third effect where if you special summon 2 or more monsters at the same time, you can target one of those monsters, switch its battle position. This is really important for OTKing and stuff, because all the Ritual Beast fusions summon the monsters in defense. And they summon 2 back, so you need to be able to help OTK. You can swing, tag out, and then whichever one has your highest attack, you switch it to attack mode. It just helps out a lot. And as I mentioned with the attack buffing thing, this deck, their monsters don't get very high, and even though Apelio helps, it doesn't help all the time because Ulti Apelio can't get the buff. So honestly, the debuff on this comes up more often than you'd think, and it saved my butt so much because, oh, my opponent can't run over something, or oh, I can actually run over their thing. Next up, we have 2 Ritual Beast Bonds. This card is one of the funniest cards in this deck because it's only gotten better with time. This card used to be like an okay 1 of. Honestly, at this point, I'm almost tempted to play 3 of it because it's so freaking good now. 2 reasons, okay? So what does this do, first and foremost? It's a quick play spell that says, banish 2 Ritual Beasts you control, special summon 1 Ritual Beast monster from your extra deck, ignoring summoning conditions. Okay, it cheeses out any of your Ritual Beast extra deck monsters, which is very, very important. Now, this wasn't all that good back in the day when the archetype first came out because it just didn't come up enough. Hand traps are not prevalent, and really, honestly, it just felt like a win more card at times. But it's gotten better over time because it cheeses out any extract monster. It doesn't have to be specifically to fusions, okay? So what you could do back in the day, after they got this card, you could chase out Ulti Guy Apelio, because normally you have to use 3 specific monsters, to make this guy. But with Virtual Beast Bonds, you can choose them out, and that's why you only get his negate if you have properly summoned him, which is annoying, but oh well. So that's one thing you can do. But even better, you can summon the Link 4 off of this card using 2 monsters. A card that normally would require you to put at minimum 3 card investment into this thing, you only need to use 2 monsters. Now granted, it's still a 3 card investment because of bonds, but this is still like really cheeky because this card's amazing and you want to be able to get him out. He's a really solid end board piece and we're going to cover him when we get there. But Bonds is, it lets you do that. Another thing with Bonds is that it lets you dodge hand traps. So if your opponent is trying to do something, you just chain and then you get around it, or you can set it on their turn and then, oh, they try to like board clear or something, you chain and get around it. It's a really, really cheeky good card and I like it a lot. It's not a hard once per turn. There is no once per turn on this at all. So you can play more than 2 now. I don't recommend it. 2 is fine. You don't want to draw into too many and dead draw it. So yeah. Moving on, let's go into the traps. I'm only playing 2. Well, 5, but they're 2 different ones. First 3 in perm, that's our last hand trap. I probably should start putting it with the hand traps instead of the traps, but hey, it's in perm. What do you want to say? And then finally, I play 2 steeds. I know some people play 1 steeds, some people play 2. I've seen some people still play 3. I'm a bit iffy on the 3. I might side a 3rd just to be able to like, oh, make my going first turns better. But like realistically, 2 steeds is usually enough to get it done. And heck, oftentimes 1 steeds is enough to get it done. But I have had times where the 2nd steeds is really, really important. Several times throughout the day on Saturday, I sided out the 2nd steeds, and several times that was a mistake because having the 2nd steeds would have really helped. Still pulled through in the end, but like I've learned, okay, don't side out the 2nd steeds unless I know I'm going 2nd. Going 2nd, I like to side out the steeds entirely because obviously a trap card is not particularly good going 2nd, and you want to try to brick boards. But however, I also realized throughout the day that, oh, you want to keep 1 steeds in because then that way, because this deck it can't really OTK through a big board very easily. So then you search the steeds and you set it, so then you can be like, ha, I'm gonna stop you from rebuilding your board. And that is the main deck. So let's take a look at our extra deck here. First and foremost, we got the links. I got 2 Ritual Beast Ulti Kimon Falcos. God, that's hard. Anyways, it's a Link 2, just needs 2 of your Ritual Beast monsters go into. Ritual Beast at points 2, gains 600 attack and defense, which that with an Apelio buff is really, really handy. And then you can banish a Ritual Beast card from your graveyard, get an extra normal summon right away, and then it has the same tag out effect as the others. This card's really good, very helpful, very handy. It's another normal summon for the deck. I can't stress that enough. 2, I'll be honest, I never made the 2nd one, but the first one came up quite a bit. But not often enough to where it's like you absolutely need to play this card. It comes up, but it's not always a thing. Next, I got 2 of the Ritual Beast Ulti Reiratari. This card, I was only playing 1 on Saturday, but there were several times where a 2nd came up because they outed the first one, and I'm like, okay, now I really wish I played the 2nd, so I got the 2nd here. So what does Reiratari do? So you need 3 or more effect monsters go into it. That's really hard to do, so cheese it out with Bonds. You can hard make it, and there are times where you do, but it's not always a requirement. So once a turn, you can target one of your banished Ritual Beast cards, add it to your hand, and then you can normal summon a Ritual Beast right away. Now, the really nice thing with that is that it adds any Ritual Beast card. Not just monsters. So if you have a Steeds in your graveyard and you banish it with Apelio, you can add it back with Reiratari, which is really, really cheeky, and I love it. And then it gets you another normal summon right off the bat. While it's on the field, neither player can tribute monsters for card effects or to activate cards or effects. It doesn't stop tribute summons, but it stops tributing for card effects or activating card effects. This is very, very helpful because it actually comes up more than you would think. It stops shenanigans with like Econ and stuff like that. I've heard it stops Nibiru, but I don't think that's the case because I think Nibiru tributes for cost. I don't know. That is something I would have to like double check with Judge. which I've heard very mixed things. Some people say it does stop Nibiru, some people say it doesn't. But honestly, if you're making this guy, typically speaking, like you're already like, it's I don't know. Anyways, and then finally, during your opponent's turn, you can target, as a quick effect, one of your Ritual Beast monsters and one card your opponent controls, or is it just monster? Hang on. Target one Ritual Beast card you control and one card your opponent controls, banish them. So it can be any monster, it can be any card, it can be whatever. You can target your inheritance that you don't need anymore, it can be whatever. Very, very, very good card. Oh, heck, you can even chain, like, oh, you activate Steeds to destroy stuff. You can chain this guy, target Steeds, target something else, banish both. A lot of shenanigans you can do with that, especially if you target one of your fusions, you can then chain the fusion to return it to the extra deck and special summon. His effect will still resolve, banishing your opponent's monster or card, whatever you're banishing. Honestly, most of the time you're banishing monsters, so yeah. Anyways, finally, for the links, I have one the Windest Charmer Verdant. This is the Wind link, the Wind Charmer link, and it's quite as simple as sometimes you play against a Wind deck and you want to snatch steal it so you can make stuff easier. It doesn't come up like ever, and honestly, this is like the biggest flex spot in this version of the deck. There are other things you can cut out and around and stuff, but like this could be an Access Code Talker, this could be a Typhon, this could be whatever pretty much. I really can't decide on what it should be. It could be the Thunder Dragon Colossus that you can put in by just chaining out a couple cards. But yeah, anyways, that's it for the links. The rest of the deck is the fusion, so let's go ahead and take a look at them. First and foremost, we got 3 Canahawk. I really like the alt art, but I also really like the original art, and I really like my playset of the secrets. So I kind of want to keep it back to the playset of the secrets. I don't know, I haven't fully decided. Anyway, so everybody knows what Canahawk does, but just to remind you, once a turn you can target 2 cards, 2 of your banished Ritual Beast cards in your, well, 2 of your banished Ritual Beast cards, return them to your graveyard, search out any Ritual Beast card from your deck to your hand. As a quick effect, you can return it to the extra deck to target 1 Ritual Beast Tamer and 1 Ritual Beast monster, and special summon both. So basically, yeah, this is where the shenanigans ensue, and where you can just loop this card like crazy, because you can target 2 dudes. So like, let's say you got a Lara, a Rempengu, and another Canahawk banished. You can target the Lara and the the other Canahawk to return them to the graveyard, and then you chain his effect, returning them to the extra deck, special summon the Lara and the Rempengu, and then, oh, he still returns that other Canahawk to the graveyard, so you still get the search, but you didn't pay for the full cost. It's very, very, very funny that you can do that and how it works. And it's part of the reason why this deck is able to just grind like crazy. The grind game on this deck is insane, and yeah, it's partly because of this card. Next up, I got 2 Ritual Beast, Ulti, Nochu, Drago. This card comes up a lot, and playing 2 especially. Like, you can get away with playing 1, and a lot of people do, but for this pure build, it's not doing anything fancy with the other stuff. 2 came up a few times, because, like, oh, they wanted to kill it, or something, and I didn't really want to waste bringing back a dude just to get it in the graveyard, so I let it die, and then I just summoned another one. It's like, okay. Like, oh well. Sometimes I use it for a combo to go into Ulti YgoAmino, like hard make him, which is something that I actually do kind of recommend doing every now and then, because he is an Omni Negate. But yeah, really good card. Oh yeah, I forgot why it's so good. So you banish, for its summon, you can banish monsters from your graveyard or hand instead. So like, if you open just terribly, you can summon her by banishing 2 dudes. Granted, you can always summon her once a turn, and while she's out on field, your opponent can't target other Ritual Beast monsters with card effects. So it's like really like one of the best things to summon, like before you do anything else, because then you insulate yourself from Effect Filler, Ghost Mourner, Imperm, all that crap. So really good card for that. And finally, she does the tag out thing, but unlike the others, she only brings back 1, which is really freaking annoying, but I understand why, because she's just so easy to summon, so it's like, you don't get as big of a payback for it. Next, I do have 2 Ritual Beast Ulti YgoAmino. The reason why I'm playing 2 is because I usually banish 1 for Rempengu to get the original YgoAmino in graveyard, but like, yeah, this card's your main beater, needs any Tamer and Ritual Beast to go into. has the usual tag out effect, and when it attacks, it is completely unaffected by card effects until the end of the damage step. So your opponent can't do anything. You don't have to worry about like Mirror Force or any shenanigans. Obviously Mirror Force is like the last thing you're probably worried about in 2024, but it's just an example. Like you don't have to worry about pretty much anything attacking with her. Now of course, any other time during the turn, she's completely able to be affected by stuff. So actually, if you do use regular Apelio, you'll see her attack goes up to 3100, and if your opponent tries to crash into her, I think she's still, right? Is it only when she attacks? Yeah, only when she attacks. So, if your opponent tries to attack over her, she's going to be 3100, but the instant she declares her attack, she becomes unaffected and drops back down to 26. It's really annoying, and I don't know why they did that, but it's just how it works. Anyways, we got 2 YgoAmino. YgoAmino is the big boss of the deck. It needs a Ritual Beast monster, a Ritual Beast Tamer, and a Spiritual Beast. So let's see here. It needs a Ritual Beast ulti, a Ritual Beast Tamer, and a Spiritual Beast monster. So yeah, you need to bring out one of your little guys, and one of your Tamers, and one of your ultis to make this guy. If you properly summon it, he is an Omni Negate that is not once per turn, but is completely limited to how many cards you have in hand, because for each time that you do the Omni Negate, you have to banish a Ritual Beast card from your hand. It has no tag out ability, and that's about it. So it's a 3200 wall that has an Omni Negate that's kind of hard to summon. So why am I playing 2 then? Typically speaking, Rampengu, you banish him, you send a sidekick, so it's another way to get to your sidekicks. Another thing is that like most of the time when you're summoning him, you do cheese him out with bonds for a 3200 beat stick to close out for game. It's one of the easiest ways to go for the OTK. But there are times where like you do want to make it going first. Like having this guy with 3 cards in hand and a Steed set, along with hopefully having Nochio Drago out to protect it from targeting effects, is really good. And I did that to a guy, and it was funny. He couldn't get rid of him. Finally, I do play 1 of Ulti Petalfin. And this card actually did come up because, like, my opponent activated, oh god, what was it? Lightning Storm, I think? I can't remember. And I chained Ritual Beast bonds into this, and this thing can't be destroyed by card effects. And it's a 2800 wall. He couldn't get rid of it, so end of turn, bounce it back, summon 2. This card comes up once in a blue moon. Most of the time, though, you're banishing it to get Petalfin in a graveyard. That's about it. Anyways, so that is the main deck and the extra deck. Really quick, the side deck, just to explain what I did. I kind of threw the side deck together because I really, at the time, was not intending to play this deck in tournament. I got there late and I was like, yeah, I'll play around with my unfinished deck, see how it does, and yeah, I went undefeated. First and foremost, let's talk about D-Barrier. D-Barrier I'm kind of mixed on. It's really good for certain matchups, but I only actually used it once, and that was against Branded, and I had to call Fusion. Granted, that was in payback of him puppet locking me, so I felt it was worth it. Next up is Evenly Matched. This deck sucks going second, and I'm trying to break through a board, so Evenly Matched is really good. I'm really thinking about also throwing in Lightning Storms, but haven't fully committed to that yet. Next up, 3 Droll. Droll is really good. Like what else do I want to say? It's like really good. You don't really want to main deck it because it hurts you just as much as your opponent, but hey, it's really good. For going second and everything, and against certain decks, it's going to be even better. It's probably going to be main deck worthy after Fiendsmith comes out. Next, 2 Ogre. This comes up every now and then, especially against like Horus and all that. 2 Nibiru, again going second with this deck sucks, so honestly this card should probably go to 3. I might cut out like Ghost Ogre or something, I don't know, I haven't fully decided. And then 2 Twin Twister, because I found this card is actually like really good against Snake Eye at times. It has won me so many games against Snake Eye where I'm like, okay, I'm gonna Twin Twister to field spell and one of your dudes in your back row, and it's like, oh, they gotta either like bait it's either a negate bait or they let it go through, and then I don't gotta deal with the field spell or whatever they had in the back row, or I force it out sooner and then it's able to get around stuff. But anyways, yeah, that's it. So also it's like here for dealing with anti-meta stuff like Runic Stone and all that. Anyways, that is everything, and that's my Ritual Beast deck. I'll be honest, I'm half expecting to get a lot of hate for this deck because I've seen so many people having really hardcore opinions on how this deck should be played now, and I just don't agree. So anyways, this is how I'm playing it. I do want to experiment with the Thunder Dragon stuff and the Nemesis and all that stuff. I just don't have them. So anyways, that's everything. Thank you all for watching. Have a great day. Rate, comment, subscribe, and see you all later. Peace out. Thank you for watching the video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please do consider rating, commenting, and subscribing. Sharing the video helps as well. If you especially really like it, please do consider being a channel member. Every little bit helps out. And hey, also why not check me out on my other social media pages. Thank you, and have a great day.